Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the Path International Virtual Site Visit Center training. My name is Karen Province. I am the lead membership service representative for center members, and I am your presenter today. This webinar is designed to prepare Path International centers for a virtual accreditation site visit. By the end of this webinar, you should have an understanding of the process of a virtual site visit, both prior to and on the day of the visit. You will learn how to work with resources you need, such as Dropbox, HelloSign, Google Docs, and other virtual site visit forms. Our goal today is to introduce you to the process and procedures of a virtual site visit and to provide a platform for questions. A handbook with more detailed information has also been provided as a resource for you. This webinar is being recorded and will be available on the Path International website on the Center Accreditation page. Following this presentation, we will have members of the work group and center representatives from the pilots to answer your questions. Please hold your questions until the end of the presentation. Before we get started, I wanted to acknowledge and thank the members of the Path International Virtual Site Visit Work Group who have dedicated so much of their time and expertise to help put this virtual site visit process and training manual together for us. Thank you to Leslie Shear, Mary Gwinner, and Ace Raymond. We would also like to thank the centers and site visitors who participated in our virtual site visit pilots. This new process would not be a success without their willingness to take the time to help us work out the details. Thank you, Joan Cutler and Shannon Middleton, for reaccrediting your centers virtually. And thank you to Leslie Shear, Maggie Harrison, Patty Coyle, and Lindsay Jameson for volunteering to be the site visitors for our pilots. In addition to the work group members, Joan and Shannon will be here to answer your questions as center representatives who have successfully completed virtual site visits. They are here to provide their valuable and unique insight. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Path International and the Path International Accreditation Committee developed an interim solution to the accreditation process. There are many centers that applied for accreditation and reaccreditation since 2020. This interim virtual process resumes visits in a timely, safe, and fiscally responsible manner. As with the in-person site visits, standards and compliance demonstrations must be met. The following section will review the requirements for virtual site visits. Not every center is eligible for a virtual visit. Centers applying for their first accreditation must have an in-person site visit. There are no exceptions to this policy. Centers that earned Premier Accredited Center status with a passing score of 90% or more on their last site visit will have a virtual site visit. Centers that are reaccrediting and passed with a score of 90% or higher have a proven track record that they have met the standards and understand the accreditation process. However, if a center that meets the requirements for a virtual site visit wishes to have an in-person site visit instead, they will be required to pay for all site visitor expenses. Determining the eligibility for a virtual site visit will be based on the center's last site visit. Centers that passed with a score below 90% or passed on appeal will be reviewed by the accreditation committee. The accreditation committee will utilize a rubric to determine if the center is eligible for a virtual site visit or if an in-person visit will be required. If a center is qualified for a virtual visit, but due to personal preference would like to request an in-person visit instead, the center will be required to pay the actual expenses incurred by the site visitors. These examples reflect the possible cost to the center if an in-person visit is requested. Please be aware of the rising cost of travel if you are requesting an in-person visit. When making site visitor assignments for in-person visits, Path International staff is mindful of potential expenses, and we will do our best to work with the site visitors to keep expenses as low as possible. Center representatives are welcome to recommend lower cost hotels in the area, provide ground transportation, meals, etc., to help manage expenses. An in-person visit will be required if a center did not pass their last accreditation site visit or did not pass on appeal. An in-person visit will also be required if a center did not pass on appeal and chose to then go through the accreditation process a second time and subsequently passed. Most centers applying for reaccreditation already know if they qualify for a virtual visit, but if anyone needs to confirm, please send an email to accreditation@pathintl.org. Now we will go over the timeline. The application should be submitted to the Path International office within 90 days of the completion of the standards course. For those of you who submitted your application more than a year ago, you will be enrolled in the 2021 standards course for no additional charge if needed to make sure you have taken the most recent course. Test scores are valid for 1 year, so everyone who has taken it more than a year ago will need to retake. When the Path International office receives the application, it will be reviewed to determine eligibility. The applications that do not meet the requirements for a virtual visit will be sent to the Path International Accreditation Committee to determine if a virtual visit is appropriate. Due to the extensive backlog, Path International is assigning site visitors based on original application date so that those centers waiting the longest will complete their visits first. Any center with an application on file is granted an extension on their accreditation term, so your status as a PAC is not in danger of lapsing. When the site visitors are assigned, the center will be notified and can expect to hear from their lead visitor to start planning and setting a date. Once a visit date is determined, the lead visitor will send confirmation to the Path International office, the associate visitor, and the center representative. If the center requires the visitors to sign a confidentiality agreement, the center will email the visitors their agreement form. The visitors will sign and email it back to the center representative. Any center can ask the visitors to sign their confidentiality agreement. The center representative will be asked to set up an agenda for the visit. The agenda should include times of live demonstrations and allow for review of randomly selected paperwork, items that need to be seen live, and interviews. The center representative will upload the required paperwork to their Dropbox. The visitor's access to the center's Dropbox is strictly for review purposes only. The visitors cannot edit or upload anything to the center's Dropbox or download any items from the Dropbox. Visitors cannot begin their review of the uploaded documentation until they receive a notification from the Path International office that the center has completed their uploads and the Dropbox folder is shared with them. The uploads must be completed a minimum of 2 weeks ahead of the scheduled day of visit to give the site visitors ample time to review all of the files. No new uploads can be made during this review period. The lead visitor will contact the center representative to conduct a pre-visit interview. Next, we will discuss a very important tool to help you organize your uploads into Dropbox, the site visit checklist. Centers will be provided with a link to a comprehensive virtual site visit center checklist. This checklist does not replace careful reading of the standards and compliance demonstrations, but it does serve as a tool to help you organize and keep track of your files for uploading all of the necessary documentation. To prepare for the virtual site visit, the center will submit documentation that meets the compliance demonstration of the standards. See suggestions for organizing documentation on page 5 of the virtual site visit center training manual. All required documentation will be submitted electronically by uploading to the center Dropbox. If all of your documentation is in hard copy form, the scanning of all documents might take quite a bit of time, so please plan accordingly. But for many centers, the documentation is already in a digital file that can be uploaded. Dropbox can accept PDFs and Word docs for written documents, and JPEG and MP4 files for photos and videos. If you have other file formats, please reach out to Karen at the Path International office to confirm compatibility. The center checklist is a very important tool to help you get organized and keep track of your files you are uploading to Dropbox. This checklist is also important to the site visitors who will utilize it in their review to make sure they can find all of the files in the Dropbox and cross-reference for standards compliance demonstration. The checklist includes a summary of the standard and checkboxes indicating the type of compliance demonstration required: written, observed, or interview, to help the center determine what kind of files will need to be submitted into the Dropbox. More than one file can be uploaded to meet the compliance demonstration if necessary. For example, a video or photo may be uploaded in addition to a written policy. The photo/video column should indicate if one or more of the files listed in the file name is a video or a photo. This is just to make the site visitors aware that they may need to watch a video so they can budget their time accordingly. If the live box is checked, that means the center should expect the site visitors to request to see the standards compliance the day of the visit. All services and activities will be demonstrated live. No videos need to be submitted ahead of time. For other standards compliance demonstrations, the center is still welcome to submit videos and/or photos of the standard. This may reduce the amount of time needed for the live demonstration. For example, a photo of the telephone and written emergency information may be submitted to the Dropbox, but the day of the visit, the visitors will still need to verify that the phone is working. Next, we will talk about technology. Proper technology is the key to a successful site visit. We will now review the technology requirements and needs in order to have a successful virtual site visit. Zoom is the primary platform to be utilized the day of the visit. If a Zoom account is not available for the day of the visit, Path International will inform the site visitor, who will then work with the center representative to find a good alternative. The Path International paid Zoom account does not have a limit on time. The free version of Zoom has a time limit of only 45 minutes, so it is not conducive for site visits. But if the center or the site visitor has their own paid Zoom account to use, that is one option, in addition to other live meeting platforms such as Google Meet or Skype. Path International will provide the lead visitor with access to one of the association's Zoom accounts for the day of the visit. The sooner the Path International office is notified of the date of your scheduled visit, the less likely it is that an alternative platform will be needed. The lead visitor will notify the center representative at least 2 weeks prior to the scheduled visit date if a Path International Zoom account is unavailable and an alternative platform will be used. You can download the Zoom app for free. Because we do not know the particular platform you may end up using, we suggest you familiarize yourself with all of the various platforms available. Links to these tutorials are also included in the training manual. It is imperative that the center have access to a stable internet connection that can run a live video chat platform such as Zoom or Skype. As mentioned before, review the tutorials for all possible platforms. Internet can be patchy. Make sure to have a backup communication device ready. Make sure that all devices are fully charged and also have charging cables ready in case you need to charge a device the day of the visit. The site visitors are trained to navigate and problem solve technology issues that may arise the day of the visit. If there are certain areas of your property that you know are going to have issues, make that known to your lead visitor ahead of time so that they can be prepared and be able to provide alternative solutions. Now let's review the documentation requirements. The center representative is given access to a Dropbox where they will upload the documentation to meet applicable standards. This may include photographs, videos, and scanned paperwork or digital files. Each center may organize their documents in a way that best fits their organizational needs. A center could upload a scanned copy of their completed accreditation binder or create folders in each standard section. To assist the site visitor review of the standards, the center representative will complete the virtual site visit center checklist with the name of the file associated with the documentation to meet a standard. For example, the organizational chart could be uploaded as A3-org chart. If one file meets more than one standard, you only need to upload it once, making note of the file name next to each applicable standard. If any checklist items are not submitted, visitors will ask for those items on the day of the visit. but the more that can be uploaded ahead of time, the smoother and faster the day of the live visit should go. It is important to utilize a checklist to identify the file names. If the file name demonstrates more than one standard, put the duplicate file name next to each applicable standard on the checklist. Dropbox upload should include written policies and procedures, proof of credentials, contracts, and forms. Random documentation is selected live on the day of the visit. The visitor will ask the center representative to select a file. The pages of the file can be viewed either by taking a photo or photocopy of the paperwork and texting it or emailing it to the site visitors, or the page of the file can be viewed by the visitors via screen sharing. If the paperwork is kept electronically, the lead visitor will give permission to the center representative to share the screen. It is not recommended to try to use a cell phone camera to show a piece of paper or a file on a computer screen. A list of personnel, volunteers, and participants who will be on site the day of the visit should be included with the daily agenda. If there are any last-minute changes, be sure to inform your lead visitor. No sensitive information containing client or personnel's private information should be uploaded into the Dropbox. These items will be reviewed live the day of the visit. You are welcome to upload blank forms into the Dropbox. Videos or photos for standards that require observation but are not marked as view on day of visit on the virtual site visit center checklist. It's possible that on the day of the visit, the site visitors may ask to see live stream of certain items to determine compliance. In addition to videos, photos of the facility may include areas that are hard to capture on video, such as ventilation, light switches, restrooms, fire extinguisher tags, etc. A full facility walkthrough may be uploaded by the center, but it isn't required. On the day of the visit, site visitors will ask to see a live streaming walkthrough. Any videos uploaded should show compliance of specific standards. Sufficient videos can be done using readily available technology. Most cell phones have cameras capable of filming video sufficient for compliance demonstration. You do not need high quality production videos. They just need to be clear enough to demonstrate the standard compliance. However, they should not be edited or spliced together. You don't need extensive narration, but you should briefly explain what standards you are demonstrating in the video. Be mindful of excessive background noise that might make hearing the video difficult. Utilizing a microphone may be helpful. Where practical, you can show multiple standards in one video. You do not need to make separate videos for each specific standard. Depending on the layout of your facility, you may be able to show many facility standards in one video. Videos should not be more than 20 minutes long. Here are some examples of photos. You want to be mindful of your photos. You do not want to submit any photos that are blurry, have poor lighting, or are backlit and causing shadows. You want to ensure that the photos present the correct subject matter pertaining to the specific standards you are addressing, and that they are clear and not blurry. Also, be sure that your photos show the entire compliance demonstration, not just a portion. For example, the outhouse shown here, although labeled accessible, isn't shown to be accessible by the first photo. More than one photo may be necessary to show compliance of the standard in its entirety. Here are some important things you need to know about using your Dropbox. Keep your Dropbox file request email handy. This email allows you to drag and drop files directly in the space provided in the email, or click a link to search for files on your computer. It is important that you do not log in to your Dropbox account if you have one. The email containing the file request does not require you to log in or to create an account. If you log in, your uploads will be attached to your account, which may have limited space and may fill up. Uploading directly from the email links utilize Path International's unlimited space Dropbox account. Once you upload a file to Dropbox, you cannot access it for editing or deleting. If you do accidentally upload an incorrect item, please reach out to Karen at the Path International office to request a file deletion. It is recommended that you prepare all of your files in a folder on your computer to ensure that you are uploading the correct items, and then upload the entire folder when complete. This helps ensure that you are submitting exactly what is needed before making the final upload. Center documentation uploaded to Dropbox in preparation for the site visit will be deleted upon completion of the visit. The score form, comment sheets, and immediate corrective action form, if used, will be kept in the center's file according to Path International's policies and procedures for paperwork retention. When the Path International accreditation staff receives the completed site visit forms, they are saved to the center's record. Next, we'll be talking about the day of the visit, the live Zoom meeting. While the process for virtual visits is different than a regular in-person visit, the goal is the same: to demonstrate compliance to all applicable standards. Therefore, you need to be prepared for your Zoom meeting the same as you would if the site visitors were going to be there in person. Visitors will have reviewed all of your Dropbox submissions prior to the day of the visit and will be ready to ask for more clarification or to view additional items they may deem necessary to accurately score each standard. If there is no documentation uploaded for a particular standard, the missing documentation will be requested the day of the visit. Before the visit begins, you should ensure that your devices are charged prior to the start of the visit and have charging cords available. More than one device can be connected to the Zoom meeting at a time, so you can also utilize desktop computers, portable devices such as phones or tablets. Prior to the scheduled start time, it is recommended to check the internet connection both in the office and around the facility. Confirm that all volunteers, participants, and personnel directly involved with the live portions of the visit, including interviews, writing sessions, driving sessions, therapy sessions, etc., will be present. Notify the site visitors if there are any changes. Review the agenda, including breaks and lunch times, and notify the site visitors of any changes. Be sure to have your emails from HelloSign and Path International with links to the Google Forms easily accessible. The visit will begin with introductions, review of the day's agenda, including lunch and breaks, and general housekeeping notes. The areas that will be covered during the visit include review of random paperwork. The visitor will ask the center representative to select a file. The pages of that file can be viewed either by taking a photo or photocopy of the paperwork and sending it to the site visitors, or if the documentation is digital, the visitors can view the computer screen using screen sharing. For random file selection, the visitors will ask an individual to select particular files. To most effectively review the random paperwork, visitors will ask the center representative to share their computer screen. If the paperwork is on paper, they may be asked to take a photo or a photocopy, as it can be difficult to fully view a document through a phone camera. So screen sharing or scanning the documents is preferred. Anything sent directly to the site visitors will be deleted immediately after completion of the visit. Some standards require an interview to meet the compliance demonstrations. These interviews may take place before or after a session in an office or during the facility walkthrough. Participants, personnel, and volunteers should understand that they may be selected for an interview. The site visitors are aware that this may make people nervous and will do their best to not make people feel too pressured. Any changes to the provided list of individuals on the day of the visit should be communicated to the lead visitor as early as possible. The facility walkthrough is conducted to observe standards compliance demonstrations that are not satisfied by photo or video, plus any observation of standards where previously uploaded documentation needs additional observation. Here are some tips to help ensure a great live stream. If possible, utilize a tripod or selfie stick to reduce unnecessary movement or shaking of the camera. Be aware of backlighting or shadows that might make the live stream video difficult to see. Also be aware of wind, traffic noise, or other background noise that might make it difficult for the audio to be heard or understood. Utilization of a microphone may help with this. Be sure to pan the camera slowly to ensure the site visitors can clearly see what is being shown. The site visitors may ask the center representative to slow down or adjust the angle of the camera or to pan in certain directions. Standards that require observations. Review the site visit center checklist for standards that require visitor observation on the day of the visit. The visitors will observe any service session the center provides via live stream, whether it's a therapeutic riding session, a therapy session, or driving. They will not need to see the session in its entirety, just the components needed for standards compliance, such as mounting procedures, safety checks, etc. Visitors may request to see anything related to a standard, even though it might have already been previously uploaded. The visitors may need additional clarification if a document is missing or if a photo or video submitted is not clear or doesn't fulfill the complete standard compliance demonstration. As we all know, technology is not 100% reliable. Be prepared for technical difficulties. It is recommended that a walkthrough is done before the live visit to identify any potential problems. Letting your lead visitor know of potential problem areas ahead of time will help them plan and suggest alternatives. Options are available to keep the visit on track. The lead visitor may ask the center representative to incorporate some of these following options. The center representative may be asked to move to another area at the center with better reception. If there is a specific item that needs to be observed and is in a location that has poor reception, that item may be moved to a better location. For example, if helmets are in the TAC room that has no reception, move the helmets to another location for viewing. If it is within reason, sometimes just waiting until a later time can help. A different cell phone carrier may have better service. The use of a hotspot or another phone may be an option. As a last resort, if there is an area that absolutely cannot be reviewed live, the center representative or staff may be asked to record a video of the session and upload it immediately to a Google Drive or other platform for review at the end of the visit prior to scoring. And now we move on to scoring. As with an in-person visit, all scoring will be done at the end of the visit. The center representative will be placed in the Zoom waiting room to allow the lead and associate visitors to meet privately. The center representative will be invited back when it is time to rejoin the Zoom meeting. The center representative and any additional personnel will return to the Zoom meeting to begin the scoring process. As part of the scoring process, the associate visitor will read aloud the bolded part of the standard and the compliance demonstration. The lead visitor will share the score form screen with the center representative to show the score form and the actual scoring in real time. If a standard receives a no score, the site visit comment sheet, which is a Google Doc, will be completed and initialed immediately by both visitors and the center representative. Keep your Google Drive links handy. In the unlikely event that a no is scored on a mandatory standard, in addition to it being noted on the comment sheet, it will also require the immediate corrective action form to be completed. That form is sent through HelloSign as a separate document only to be used in that event. When scoring is completed, the lead visitor, associate visitor, and center representative each sign the document via HelloSign. The lead visitor will sign the site visit score form first. Once signed, the associate visitor will then be able to access the link in HelloSign and sign where appropriate. After the associate visitor signs, the center representative will have access to sign the form. It is very important that the center representative waits until prompted to open the link from HelloSign so that they are seeing and signing the completed forms filled out previously by the lead and signed by the associate visitor. As soon as everyone has signed the score forms, an email will be sent to the Path International office, the lead visitor, and the center representative. The site visitor evaluation form will be sent and emailed to the site visitors and the center representative once the visit is complete. This form is now an online survey to be completed after the visit. And now for a few final thoughts. This webinar will be available on the Path International website along with the virtual site visit center training manual. The virtual site visit center training manual provides more in-depth look at this process. Updates will be added to the manual as needed. Make sure you are referring to the most current version. Thank you for taking the time to view this important webinar with us today. The Accreditation Committee and Path International thanks you for your time and dedication to the accreditation process. We will now open the meeting up for questions and answers.